Welcome back to this special anniversary edition of Rewind of the Living Dead. I'm Damon Martin.
And I'm Patrick Guerra.
Patrick, can you believe that we are 5 years old?
It's
5 years.
it's unreal, Damon, that we are 5 years deep in Rewind to the Living Dead. That fateful summer in 2020 when we couldn't go to Comic-Con. So Damon Martin calls me up and says, I got an idea. Never mind Comic-Con, let's do a horror podcast. And then just a few months later, Rewind of the Living Dead was born. We are so bad at anniversaries, Damon. If we were married, I'd forget all the time. But yes, October, the month of October, is indeed our 5 year anniversary. We had to celebrate, and I want to give a shout out to one of our patrons. So, shameless plug, patreon.com/rewind of living dead. Gustavo asked us, he goes, what if you guys did like a top five of the last 5 years, because you guys have been he's a big fan, and he's like, celebrate the fact that you've done 5 years. Meanwhile, Damon and I didn't even know 5 years was coming. Like, oh shit, thanks Gus, we didn't even know. It's a great idea. He wanted us to do it at the end of the year, and I thought, we are not doing anything for our 5 year anniversary, so why don't we do this?
Yeah, so the way we're doing this is we're gonna basically name our 5 favorite horror films that we've reviewed. So not movies that we haven't reviewed, and obviously 5 films that have been released in the last 5 years. So we're not going to include like The Devil's Rejects, because that's like my
Or Hereditary, yeah, that
or
came out
Alien
before
for you, like, or Texas
yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre. Those movies that came out within the last 5 years, and the other little add-on like requirement, movies that we actually reviewed. So these are movies that you and I sat down and did an episode about and reviewed them on the podcast. So 5 years later, what are our top 5 favorite films that we've ever reviewed? And the way this is going to work is Patrick and I are going to both unravel and reveal our lists, and then by the end, we're going to argue and debate and kind of come down to a consensus top 5 for Patrick and I, which, by the way, we agree on a lot of things, but we don't agree on everything, and that's kind of the fun of this podcast. So somehow by the end of this, we're going to come up with 5 movies, and maybe afterwards we'll continue doing the podcast. The argument too crazy. But yes, going back over the list, man, we've reviewed a lot of good movies.
And Damon, it's no mistake to, I believe the 2020s have been phenomenal for horror films. I really do. I think there's always been smatterings of good movies throughout every decade. But when I looked at my list and your list, and what we did is we kind of came up with 5 and a few extras, so we could find some common denominators and find some ones that end up in our honorable mentions. But when I look at both of our lists, there's only like one movie on here where I'm like, I don't like that movie. And maybe one movie on your side where you look at mine and you go, yeah, I'm not into that movie. The rest of it, we're just like, damn, these are incredible films. And that's just in the last 5 years. The fact that between the two of us, there's almost 10 movies here, like 10 to 12 to 13 movies where we're just like, yeah, in the last 5 years, these are some of the best horror movies we've seen. Some of these have gone on my last 25-year list. I did a little post for Instagram and TikTok where I boasted about what I believe is the best films of the last 25 years. 2 of my films are on that list. So two films from the last 25 years happened in just the last few years. I mean, real recent, because horror movies in the 2020s are going off.
Yeah, it's a remarkable time. It's not decade, obviously half a decade, but a remarkable time with how many good movies. What's crazy is I was looking, so all I did was literally pull up our podcast, and I just scrolled down the list of like everything we've ever reviewed, and obviously I had to skip over like the classics and some of the other movies we did from the past. But I started marking down movies, and I had a pretty big list. Basically what I did was I marked down the movies that I knew I really liked, like not just kind of a positive review, like movies I really liked. And then I whittled it down to like 10 movies, and then even that getting whittled down to 5 was kind of difficult. I was like, oh God, I got to leave this off. I got to not put this one on. So yeah, it's been a pretty remarkable run of that time. And you got to remember, we've been doing this every week, 52 weeks a year for 5 years. That's a fuckload of podcasts. So we had a lot to review, a lot to get into here, Patrick. So do we want to kick it off and name our 5 films up front? And then obviously we're going to talk about some honorable mentions, and then we're going to get into how we're going to condense this list down to 5 films total between the two of us. So, do you want to go first and name your five? And by no order, just like five films. The top five Patrick Guerra films of the last 5 years from Rewind of the Living Dead.
In no particular order. We're going to find that order out right now. I got The Dark and the Wicked. I got Talk to Me. I got The Substance. I got Speak No Evil. And I got Sinners. And I got some honorable mentions on this list too, which I do believe could be in the mix. And for all we know, they may end up on the unified list. And those are When Evil Lurks and Smile 1 and Smile 2.
All right. So for me, my list, and by the way, our lists are dramatically different in terms of the top five, anyways. I've got Fresh, the Sebastian Stan, Daisy Edgar Jones movie on Hulu. The Fear Street trilogy. Yes, I cheated. It's all three, but they are one part of one story. Late Night with the Devil, which was my top horror film of last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember when it came out.
2 years, I think.
2 years. X, the Ty West beginning of the X trilogy, which was a revolutionary slasher reinvention of that year, and Sinners, which is currently in lead for 2025, which we're still got time left, by the way. There's not a guarantee we're not going to find something that couldn't top that. But right now, Sinners is still my favorite film of the year, and it's hard for me not to include that because that movie is just so different and new and original, and so that was on my list. My extra movies I put on here, The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which I remember we did the review that year. That didn't get on my top five that year, and I'm still pissed off at myself for not putting it in my top five.
It's so good.
You had it in your top five. I've rewatched it like 5 times since then, and
I own it.
Yeah, I do too. But like at the time, I was like, oh, I liked it, but I didn't put it in my top five. Now it's 100% in that list. I also put The Dark and the Wicked, which you mentioned. Talk to Me is also on that list. I put Smile 2 more specifically because I've grown to actually like the sequel more than the original. And I also mentioned Red Rooms, which is a film we reviewed last year, a little French Canadian film that is very utterly disturbing. So that is also kind of like on my honorable mentions list.
Damon, there are some common denominators here. First, we just need to say it. We both love Sinners, and they're both in our prospective top fives. They're not even our honorable mentions. We both believe that Sinners is a top 5 movie of the last 5 years. I'm going to say right now, we just need to throw it in here. I'm going to put it just for fun. I know it's going to move around. I'm just going to put Sinners at number 2 for now, because I believe we both have it. There's no reason why we shouldn't have it on the unified list.
I agree. Sinners is amazing, and I've seen that Ryan Coogler started talking a bit about Oscars and things like that, and rightfully so. I got a question. This is off topic, but let me throw it out there. We are going to be coming up to the Academy Awards later this year, early next year. How confident are we that Sinners is going to get a shitload of nominations? Because The Substance kind of came out of nowhere last year. It didn't get a ton. It got obviously got director.
Got the big ones though.
Got the big ones. Only ended up winning one, or was it 2? They got one.
It only won best makeup. Yeah, and I was royally pissed.
We're pretty confident Sinners is going to get a shitload though.
I think Sinners is going to be one of the big contenders this year. It's got some strong contenders just on the drama side of things. I think One Battle After Another. It's probably One Battle After Another's year, and Sinners was like, wow, we hope it shits the bed. It did not. It really resonated with a lot of people. It's a solid, very, very good movie. So if Oscar season is Sinners and One Battle After Another head to head, that's one of my favorite head to heads I've ever seen at the Oscars. Genuinely.
And I think we actually might have a chance, a small chance, that I think Weapons could get a couple nominations. That would end up being a pretty beloved movie. Like, a lot of people really liked that one, got good reviews. It was different. I think that could get, like, I've definitely seen Amy Madigan, who played Aunt Gladys. I've definitely seen her getting a lot of nods for Best Supporting Actress for this year.
I could see that. I could see Aunt Gladys getting a nomination. Not much else, in my opinion. I know I didn't love Weapons like everybody else did, but I loved Aunt Gladys for sure, and I love the ending of that movie. I think it's going to strike a chord. Will it make it to the Oscars? Could be. It's an interesting year.
I think Sinners, definitely got Best Picture, Best Director for Ryan Coogler, Best Screenplay for Ryan Coogler, Best Actor for Michael B. Jordan. Haley Steinfeld, maybe Best Supporting Actress, possibly that's in there. And I think you're going to get score, Ludwig Gustafsson, and
yes,
obviously
score for sure.
best original song with what's his name, Catton. Why am I for Miles
Oh
Catton
my
doing the
God.
original
Yeah.
song?
I
Like
think
this
he's
is
winning
gonna
that. I don't think there's a chance.
this is gonna feel, and hopefully it kind of reminds me a little bit of, I know it's weird because it was a musical movie, but this had a lot of music in it. It kind of reminds me when Star is Born came out, and like
Yeah.
everyone loved that movie, and then it ultimately only won like one Oscar, which was best song for Lady Gaga. But I feel like this one has more momentum than that movie did. I feel like I think they're gonna get nominated for everything, and I think they're gonna get a couple wins in there.
Oh yeah, I think there will be a couple wins. It's a tough year. One battle after another is literally just running away with awards buzz. So Sinners has an uphill climb, but I at minimum it is going to win best song. I guarantee that.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see it. Like I always watch the Oscars. You know, you and I are both like Oscar whores. But like
Hmm.
I always get a little extra jazz for horror, and so I think Sinners has a chance. I don't think they're going to win the big one. I don't think they're going to win Best Picture, but I think there's a real world where like it comes down to Ryan Coogler and Paul Thomas Anderson for director, and I think Ryan Coogler's got a real shot at Best Screenplay. I think that's like, I know that was very much the Jordan Peele Award for Get Out, but I think that's a possibility as well. And I think Michael B. Jordan. I wouldn't discount him for Best Actor. I
I
wouldn't
would
put him out of the race.
I would not discount him for best actor. I thought it was a phenomenal performance.
Yeah. So Sinners is on the list. That's definitely in our top five, regardless, because we both agree on that movie. So what else are we arguing for to go in that top five? If you're going to make a hard case for another movie that deserves to be in that top five, what would it be?
Damon, it's on your honorable mention side, and it's in my top five, and it's Talk to Me. We first of all, this was our collective number one movie the year it came out, which I believe was 2024, 23, 22,
23. 23.
23. It was 23. Yeah, I think yeah. So that movie was our unified number one, which does not happen every time. It really does not. It's a highly original movie. I still to this day talk with people about Talk to Me. Gen X, millennial, not excuse me, Gen Z, millennial horror, possession movie that did possession like I'd never seen before. Brutal, fun, interesting, a wild ride, a breakout, incredible debut by the Philippou brothers, who we had on the show and we got to talk to. Um, and it's spawning a sequel and franchises, and I think it's genuinely a cultural moment, and I talked about this on that episode, that we were finally seeing a new generation of horror storytellers, and if it looks anything like Talk to Me, the future is very bright because it's different, it's scary, they go hard. I know you didn't like the movie. Bring Her Back goes hard as hell this year, and that's from the Philippou brothers. That was their follow-up to Talk to Me. The gloves are off. The younger generation says we do horror too, and I like what I'm seeing, Damon.
Yeah, I think Talk to Me is a good call. It was hard not to put it on my top five originally because what I was trying to avoid, I know this sounds like really like a cop out. What I was trying not to do is we've had 5 years, we've done 5 year in shows, is not just pick my number one from every year.
Yeah, no, totally.
So I had to I went a little outside the box with that. So because like a couple of those, like Fresh and Fear Street, were both like my number one films of those years. So I was like, I got to go outside the box, like I did with like adding Wolf of Snow Hollow, which wasn't even on my top five that year, which I still regret. But I agree. I think Talk to Me deserves a spot in there. I'd probably put it lower on the top five just based on like what else we might end up having on
Sure.
there. But
We'll figure
it
out
is
the
a
order.
it is a wholly original film. It is scary. It is gory. It is fun in a weird way. And I think what I applaud most about that movie still to this day is we've seen a billion possession movies, and 98% of them feel the same. And so, I'm not
Hmm.
even saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying like they all feel like akin to The Exorcist in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
This one goes off on a totally different tangent. There's no religion involved. There's no exorcism involved. None of that. They went at this as a totally, like, I had never seen anything like Talk to Me before. And I was like, wow. Wow. How do you, like, we talked about like the death of the slasher movie, and there was a movie that came out this year called Night of the Reaper. I'm not saying they reinvented the wheel. It's on Shudder, but it was a fun new way into a slasher film. And I was like, okay, cool. I like this. Like it was, different. This was like, okay, you like The Exorcist, but you've seen The Exorcist attempted 8,000 times. What can we do with a possession movie that's different? And the Philippine brothers are like, I got something for you, and that's Talk to Me.
Oh boy, do they, Damon. Now, Damon, I'm going to turn it over to you. I've already hogged two of the spaces. What say you, Damon Martin, between these lists? Make a case. What's going on this unified top five?
So I'm going to go ahead and just toss and realize this is going to be an honorable mention because I know it's not going to get in your top five, and that's Late Night with the Devil. That's the one movie of mine that I know you don't like. I loved that movie. It was my number one film last year, and I still adore that movie. I've watched it multiple times, and it's one of those movies where I tell people all the time, they're like, what is something new and different that I haven't seen? I'm like, watch Late Night with the Devil. I know you didn't like that one, so there's no way I'm going to convince you to end that in the top five. So I'm just going to go ahead and set that. As much as I love it, I know you don't, so I'm just going to set that to the side. The one I'm going to argue for, though, amongst all these, and I know you genuinely did enjoy the Fear Street trilogy, and maybe we'll revisit that conversation a little bit later, but what the film that I just keep coming back to over and over and over again, I just rewatched it again, like maybe in the last couple of months, is Fresh. The movie with Sebastian Stan, Daisy Edgar Jones, Mimi Cave. It was just every time I rewatch that movie, and here's how I'm going to win you on this. Here's how I'm going to pull you over to my side. You know all the praise that people heaped on Barbarians for like a movie that like you thought was going in one direction and it took you in another and you just did not enjoy that movie? Fresh is what Barbarian wanted to be.
Oh yeah.
Fresh is a movie that basically starts out. I'm not going to tell you the plot because I don't want to ruin it for you, but Fresh is a movie that starts out as like a romantic rendezvous kind of like, guy meets girl in a grocery store, they start dating, and then the twist is so incredibly fucked up and wild and gory and nasty, and the acting, I understand you're getting Academy Award nominated Sebastian Stan and really, really good actor in Daisy Edgar Jones. That raises the stock. We always talk about that. And this was just a wholly original movie that is like, when you get to the twist, you're like, what in the fuck? Like, there's a scene in this movie where Sebastian Stan, like, explains what's going on. And you're like, huh? What? And it's just so mind-shattering and original. And I think that's kind of the theme of our five, is what's going to end up being the theme of our five, is originality. You've never seen a movie like Fresh before, and I don't know that you'll ever necessarily see it again. And I'm selling you on this by saying this is the movie that people are like, I think Barbarian's the most original voice in horror. It's so crazy and you don't see it coming. Fresh does Barbarian better than Barbarian. There's
It
my selling point.
100%. Damon, you're 100% right. It does Barbarian way better than Barbarian. Barbarian didn't have a plan. And Zach Kreger has admitted it. I'm not talking shit on the movie. He literally is like, I didn't know how to keep this movie going, so I just switched gears to another movie. And everyone went, yay, we love it. It's one of those mass hallucinations that I'm like, is no one seeing this? Is no one seeing that this movie doesn't make any fucking sense? I digress, Damon. Fresh is a better version of Barbarian. Hands down. I do not argue that at all. I will see you afresh and raise you the substance. I'm going to just put the substance up here. It can come off, it can come on. Fresh is currently on here. I want to add the substance on because I believe it's the same kind of film we're talking about, where I don't know that you're going to see a lot of movies like The Substance. And this is one of those rare instances, Damon, where the movie was not just great to me, it was great to the Academy, which made no sense at all. This is a batshit, insane body horror film where, if you don't know anything about The Substance, Demi Moore basically is about to retire as a TV star and tries to regain some of her youth by taking this substance, and it creates a whole other person, Margaret Qualley, and all fucking hell breaks loose. And it ends in the most insane, batshit, blood, guts, and gore that I've ever seen. And the Academy said Best Picture nominee, Best Director nominee, Best Actress nominee, Best Original Screenplay nominee. This is one of the best movies we've seen in a long time. And when I say a movie's great, the Academy listens. I'm not saying we're talking. I'm saying that they just happen to understand and line up with me. It's one of the best, most original films I've seen. And I do believe it is one of the best horror films of the last 25 years for very similar reasons to Fresh. It's just original. It keeps taking turns. The performances are tremendous. I mean, it's Demi Moore's finest hour, and it was 100% a robbery. as far as I'm concerned with the Oscars. Margaret Qualley's great in it. Dennis Quaid's great in it. It's really a small movie, and it's just heavily, highly impactful. It's one of these S tier movies. It's one of the best that you'll see, movies or not, or horror movies or not. It made my number one movie of the year over any other movie that year. Even dramatic movies, even comedies, everything. I was like, The Substance is the best movie I've seen all year long. It would be crazy for me not to argue its place on our top five when it was indeed nominated for Best Picture. I'm assuming Sinners will be as well. It's just one of those movies that absolutely blows my mind.
So I loved The Substance. We gave it an incredibly positive review, and it was your number one, but it didn't make my, I can't remember, I think it was maybe top five for me. I know it wasn't number one, but it was on my list. I like The Substance a lot. Here's where my argument, if we're trying to whittle it down between Fresh and Substance, like, and those are the two films that have like a similar like originality, kind of batshit, really disturbing plots, things like that. My argument against Substance versus Fresh, if you're making me like whittle it down and like why, Fresh had an incredibly satisfying but yet still fucked up ending. If you remember the ending of that movie, how
I do.
yeah. Um, my one complaint, if I had a complaint, it's still minor, but my one like criticism of The Substance is just the insane, completely, utterly batshit ending. And not because it didn't work. I'll go back to listen to that episode. I was like, I think they went just a little too far. Like, it's just like it was just a little too out there. And I get what they were doing. I understood the symbolism of it all, and I still largely enjoyed it. But even going back to that review, I was like, it just like it went just slightly off the rails for what I thought would have been pretty much a perfect movie otherwise. So that's my only argument against Substance. Whereas with Fresh, I don't really have a complaint. Like, the performances are great. The problem with Fresh, and this is my opinion, just not enough people saw it. That's why I keep touting its brilliance. Like, when everyone's like, oh, what's the best movie of the last 5 years? I honestly put Fresh probably number one for me, because not only do I love it and it's a great movie and it holds up, like I said, I just rewatched it recently. It's so good. Great soundtrack, great acting. It's actually weirdly funny too on top of that. But not enough people saw it. It was a Hulu original. Fuck that. It should have been in the theaters and it should have got a bigger audience. Like, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm going to battle so hard for Fresh, is because it didn't get the audience it deserved. More people needed to see that movie, and I think if more people like, I saw an interview with Sebastian Stan when he was doing his Oscar run for the Donald Trump movie he did, and everyone's like, what movies do people bring up to you the most? And he's like, weirdly, it's that fucking Fresh movie. Like, people love that movie. He's like, I get people coming up to me all the time. I'm like, really? Like, that's the one? And they're like, not Captain America, not Winter Soldier, not Avengers. No, it's Fresh. Because it's got that kind of cult fan base to it. So I agree. The Substance is a brilliant movie. I'm not going to argue against that. But if we're going to like just hammer down to 5 films, my argument for Fresh over The Substance is Fresh had a better ending.
The counter I will give you to that, Damon, and mind you, actually love Fresh and I think it's a great movie. So it's none of this is to say it's a bad movie or worse than or anything like that. This is a list of all movies we think are phenomenal outside of Late Night with the Devil. What I say you're not the only person who says, "Oh, the ending of The Substance is just too much." To that, I counter: was it too much when Margaret Qualley came spilling out of the back of Demi Moore and lived her life for a week and then crawled back in? Like, the movie is insane. It's an insane movie. And to me, and I won't talk about the ending here for people who haven't seen it, to me, there is a very, very poignant and very poetic, emotional weight to the end of this movie. And some people are going to go, what are you talking? It was insane. It was insane. I sat down with a woman at dinner who is not into horror. And she's like, what are the movies you love? And I go, this year it was just the turn of the year. And I go, you've got to see The Substance if you haven't already seen it. And she's about 35 years old or so. And she goes, I have seen it. She goes, I have to tell you, my heart broke for her at the end of that movie because all she wanted to do was be the belle of the ball. And it just went so poorly for her. This woman who's not into horror sat down with that movie, absorbed it in a way that was just like, Oh my God, like it's literally speaking about the female experience in a way that, and that's what impressed me about it is I really felt immersed in the female experience while I'm watching The Substance. This woman who's not into horror, who's not into crazy, and it gets crazy at the end, Damon, so crazy. She saw the poetic emotionality of the end of that movie. For her, for someone who doesn't consume horror, she didn't go, that ending was too crazy for me. She went, oh, that poor thing. And I just went, oh my God, look at how it reaches people who don't even watch this shit. That's what I love about it. We don't have to make that decision now. Fresh and The Substance are still up there, Damon. Wh- Throw me another one, Damon. What else are we putting up here on this top five?
So I was looking at our lists, and like I said, we do have a couple of common denominators in there. Like I'm not like I'll go ahead and personally eliminate one from my list, not because I think it's a brilliant film, but we're really getting down to the top five. So I'll eliminate X. I think X is a great film. I think it's a really
Yeah.
really good film, but it's not the kind of movie where it's like, man, they just changed the genre with that film. Did it reinvent and kind of reinvigorate what we have said recently is kind of like the death of the slasher, because slashers are struggling right now? I think it did. But if you're going to make me argue for one over the other when it comes to slashers, and I'm not saying this is my argument, I'm just saying like I would rather see the Fear Street trilogy in, because that was such a fun, inventive, original. And the reason why I put it as a trilogy, I know it's three films, because they released them back to back to back over weeks. No one does that. Like they tried briefly to do that with the god awful Strangers remakes, and they're like, hold on now, this ain't gonna work. The
You know,
Fear
you got to
Street
make a
trilogy
good movie, right?
yeah, the Fear Street trilogy worked. Like they released them one week to the next week to the following week, and it was like really good. It was a really complete, really well done series. So if I'm going to make an argument one or the other, it's going to be Fear Street over X. But I would argue, so it's not even on your list. But I'm gonna make a compelling argument that The Wolf of Snow Hollow deserves a spot for a couple reasons, but the biggest one is this. When I look at the top five, and we're whittling it down to five, I like to touch across different genres. It's not even just like, yes, it is about finding the five best films. And if they're all vampire films, they're all vampire films. Great, I get it. But the reason I argue for The Wolf of Snow Hollow is A, it's totally original. Jim Cummings is a genius. That
Yep.
movie is fucked up in a lot of ways. It's weirdly gory, but it's also fucking hilarious.
Hmm.
And my feel. I have a real weird love-hate relationship with horror comedies. Like for me to go full, you have to go full horror comedy. It has to be Zombieland. It has to be This Is the End, which I've been rewatching lately, which I absolutely adore that movie. It has to be Shaun of the Dead. But Wolf of Snow Hollow weirdly has some dramatic underpinnings
Oh,
that
yes.
don't usually work, but it is also fucking hilarious. It is such a well written, well acted movie. Like I know we've championed Jim Cummings on this show many, many times as like one of those guys who just deserves a bigger audience. Wolf of Snow Hollow is just something like I've never seen before, and I haven't seen again.
It's criminally, much like Fresh, criminally underseen. I was just at the Telluride Horror Show talking with people who just consume horror. I mean, it's literally they travel from all around to come to Colorado to watch horror. And The Wolf of Snow Hollow came up, and some people that I was at the bus stop with were like, "What's that?" And I was like, What do you mean? What's that? You're the horror people. You should know this." It's a tremendous film. And, this came out in, I believe, 2020, if I'm not mistaken. It's one of our very first reviews. I think it's in the first 10 episodes that we ever did. It did not get seen in a big theater. It should have been. It should have been seen with a crowd. It was still very indie. I don't know that it would have gotten a huge turnout. Things changed so crazily in that year. It's one of those movies where I cannot believe how many people haven't seen it. It's it's to me my favorite werewolf movie ever. Which, if you know The Wolf of Snow Hollow, you might be like, "That's kind of crazy," considering. I'm not going to say why here. It's just it understands what a werewolf movie is really about, and that is about containing the beast within. It's really about that. It's such a fantastic movie. It's so funny. It's so dramatic. It's so dreadful. It really has it all. I don't know if it's going to survive our top five. I want it to, Damon, because when you brought it in, I go, it's a good point, man. I really love that movie. I wasn't buying physical media back then, and I was like, I have to own it. I have to have this movie. I think it's fantastic. And if it's on the honorable mention lists, it's at number six. You know what I mean? Like, but for now, it's up there. I'm going to say that. Let's keep it up there for now. We have six up there right now, so we're going to have to whittle that down. But I'm going to have to look at my list here, Damon, and I'm going to have to make an argument for another movie that might belong on that. And it's also on your list. And that's The Dark and the Wicked. That's another movie that came out during COVID times that is just absolutely criminally underseen. And there is one common denominator. Everyone you show it to, it's like the fucking Ring. They are dead within 7 days. It is a scary ass movie. And I feel like we got a lot of great movies up there, but none of them scare us like The Dark and the Wicked scares us. To me, that goes a very long way. I think it's, first of all, brilliantly done. It's brilliantly acted. It's just a two-hander ghost story about two kids trying to taking care of their father who is close to death, and the mother takes herself out. It's an intense, super, super intense movie where there are twists and turns that you don't see coming, and the thing is absolutely drenched in dread. It's one of the most dreadful films I've ever seen. It's one of the films that still scares me to this day. It scared the shit out of my wife just a couple of months ago. She finally watched it. I think there's a case for The Dark and the Wicked on that top five, Damon. I have the Fear Street trilogy up there. Do you want me to take it down?
So here's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to. So eventually we're gonna make some compromises here. I understand.
We're gonna have to. Yeah, the list is, it's gonna become a top 10 list before we know.
So if I'm like, and like I said, this is not my plan. I didn't come in here being like we're gonna get like one film of this genre, one film of this genre. But I do like to think of our five as like a mix, a good mix of like,
yeah, it should be
different. That's one of the reasons why I made the argument for Wolf of Snow Hollow, because that's literally the only like funny movie we actually have on here. And I'm not saying you need a funny movie. I'm just saying, like, in terms of original, actually Fresh is kind of funny too at certain points. But
oh yeah, it's a funny movie. Substance is funny.
Yeah, but well, and disturbing when you watch Dennis Quaid eat anything. Like I said, it was right on the tip of like number six, it was right on that list of like where I want to put it, and I'm gonna concede that I think it does deserve a spot in the top five for this reason. While I think Talk to Me is a very effective horror movie, and it's got some scary moments, and it's got some disturbing moments. One of the biggest complaints that I've heard from people when I say, "Oh, Talk to Me was my favorite film of that year," they're like, "But it wasn't that scary." There's a lot of people I've heard say that. They're like, "It wasn't ultra scary." Yeah. I disagree, but like I've heard that. You cannot watch The Dark and the Wicked and not be fucking disturbed and scared out of your fucking mind. It is one of the, like, we always judge everything on a curve on this show because you and I are so incredibly messed up that we just don't get scared the way a normal human being should get scared by a movie. The Dark and the Wicked haunts us. Like, it still to this day haunts us. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna say like what's the scariest movie you've seen in the last 5 years, The Dark and the Wicked is that movie.
It really is. To me, it would be crazy for it not to be in this top five. But you mentioned disturbing, and I put this on my list, Damon, and I didn't see it on yours, but I'm very curious your thoughts. Speak No Evil 2022. Now, I will concede, most of the movie is actually just a drama, and a pretty good one at that, by the way. And that year, it made my number 2 on my overall list with all my movies. And if Emily the Criminal hadn't come out that year, Speak No Evil would have been my number 1 movie of that year. But Damon, the end of Speak No Evil, which I will not give away here for those who have not seen it. If you've not seen the original, not the James McAvoy one, don't bother with that shit. The original Speak No Evil, which is in English, is truly one of the most disturbing endings I've ever had with a movie. I remember turning it off and being like, I had this feeling in my stomach that I could not shake. And for months and months afterwards, the ending of that movie just ate away at me like a brain worm in RFK, okay? Like a real bad brain worm. That's a nasty, nasty ending to a movie. But do you think, in your opinion, Damon, I know you think Speak No Evil is a great movie, you just don't see it as a top five horror movie of the last 5 years?
Here's the thing. I love that movie. And I think what pissed me off the most about the remake is the remake was actually really good up until the ending. They fucked it up. They completely fucked it up. And because James McAvoy is incredible, and Kristen Mackenzie Davis is great, like
Yeah.
Scoot McNairy is great. Like they had a great cast there. And then when you watch the original Speak No Evil from Sweden, right? It's Sweden or is it Norway?
Danish, I believe. Danish, Dutch.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. No, you don't know anybody. Now, maybe European people know who these actors are, but I didn't know who any of them are. And so, like, to a certain extent, the remake had really good acting. Like, James McAvoy is incredible. Um, I love the original. And I would, if you're gonna like make me whittle down the best 5 endings of any horror film ever, Speak No Evil might be on that list. Like I'm talking ever. I'm not talking
Ever.
like ever. That movie fucked me up. Like 3 days later, I'm like, oh, the ending of that movie. The only argument and by the way, it should have been on my honorable mentions list. I think I just forgot to add it on there, so it definitely was on my list. Let me just say that. But my only and we're you have to nitpick here. You have to nitpick.
Yes,
when
you
down
do.
to 5. My nitpick with Speak No Evil comes down to some of the choices made earlier in that film, because I don't think any normal person gets to that ending without making some really ridiculously bad choices. And when it comes to me, I'm a plot guy. You know what I mean? I'm a plot guy, and that's been my biggest. I've heard the biggest complaint about that one and even the remake is like, what? Like, why are you still here? And
But
I know,
there's
I
a
get
genius
it.
to the movie, though. Yes.
There is, but I've heard a lot of people say it makes more sense for a European audience. For an American audience, people would be like, no, that you would never stick around in this situation as long as they did in this like really uncomfortable, like underlying tension, this really odd situation. And I get that. I do get like there. Listen, we are not the same as other parts of the world. I get that. So if you're making me nitpick, one of the greatest endings ever, but to get there, you do have to suspend disbelief a little bit. A little bit. You do. You have to. I know you talk about the uncomfortable tension, and I understand your compliment. You're not wrong. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna make me nitpick, that would be my slight nitpick of Speak No Evil is like you would just not be in that situation for as long as they're in that situation.
I've heard this complaint a lot. And I think if you go back and listen to our Speak No Evil episode where we actually break down both movies, it's actually one of my favorite episodes because we're able to talk about a remake and its successor together in the same thing, and why the successor failed so badly is because those stupid choices, which on the surface feel stupid, make a lot of sense when you break down how that story lays out in Speak No Evil 2022. They make it make sense. It enrages us because culturally, as Americans, you go, no, I'm just going to punch that guy in the nose. But Europeans don't do that, right? So that's the part of it. That's the part that we can't compute in our brains. I go, but if you look at it on a story level, it's air fucking tight. It actually makes a lot of sense. And they were targets. They were very specifically targeted. It's psychologically a very, very smart movie. And no offense to a lot of people out there, a lot of people are dumb. A lot of people are dumb and they don't pick up on the smart stuff. You and I did, and when we broke down the movie, we go, God, this is one of the baddest fucking ass movies out there. It's really, really strong. I can understand that it's on the bubble, Damon. I will take that because, again, it is still very much a drama until it's a horror. But boy, when it's a horror, you said it yourself, of all time. What else on that list have we said of all time about yet? Think about that, Damon. I'm going to put it on the bubble. We'll get to it because now we're running out of room. Now we are truly going to need to cull the herd. But when you said of all time, that came from the great Damon Martin's mouth. Nothing else on the list, aside from maybe for me, The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which I would say is my favorite werewolf movie of all time. But you said it. Speak No Evil has one of the best horror endings of all time. So I believe it's a bubble movie. We need to consider it.
I think it definitely deserves consideration. It's just when you whittle it down to 5, it's hard for me to.
It's tough.
and I don't even really consider it. It's certainly not a fatal flaw. It doesn't ruin the movie for me. I just like if you're forcing me to nitpick, I could nitpick that to a certain extent, and that's why I say like the ending, amazing, one of the most disturbing, fucked up endings ever in film history, not horror movie history, film history.
Film
But,
history.
but to get there, you do have to kind of like, as an American, you have to be like, all right, I'm just gonna kind of like overlook some of these giant red flags that are like waving in front of you. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so that, like I said, if you're forcing me to, so I would say Bubble right now, based on, like I said, we got three we agree on so far. Talk to Me, Dark and the Wicked, and Sinners. We got two spots left, and if you're making me picking those two spots, I would say Speak No Evil's kind of a little bit on the outside looking in right now for me.
Okay.
Of that list. What else do we got here? Because like I said, we agree. Like the ones we pretty much agree. Like I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm not eliminating this just to eliminate it. I'm gonna eliminate it because I think like of all the movies we have on this list that we agree with, to me it's a great movie. I just think of like if we're making this like a top 5 of like the best horror films of the past 5 years. I thought Smile and Smile 2 were both great. You know, I like Smile 2 better than Smile. I think Naomi Scott's incredible in the sequel, but I would kind of set that into the honorable mention category. Both great movies. I know Smile was your number one film that year, and Smile 2 is in my top 5 last year, I think is when it came out. But it's hard for me to put that in the list amongst all these other great film. I still love it, but I don't know that I'd consider it one of the 5 best horror films of the last 5 years. That's one I would that's for me an honorable mention. You're muted.
What? Never mind. I didn't say anything, Damon. No, I'm kidding. No, I do agree with you that Smile, and we'll go with Smile 2. I always put Smile on there because without Smile, you don't get Smile 2. Like it's a continuation. And I thought Smile 2 making my number one that year was because it was genuinely scary. I was like, wow, this is an original idea. It's scary. It's kind of everything I was looking for in a movie. I do believe Smile 2 is better. It was just the year that Smile 2 came out, a whole bunch of badass fucking horror movies came out. And my Smile 2 would have easily been my number one had not that been one of the greatest calendar years for horror, period. So it's just how that happened to lay out. So I agree, Smile 2 goes on the honorable mention list for sure.
Yeah, I think it's tremendous. I love it. It's a great movie. I just like I said, it's hard for me to put it in the same. So we got 2 spots left, and I think the only films we really haven't talked about in here have, and I'm just going down the list here. We got When Evil Lurks for you because that's one that we haven't talked about for you, and then for
Yeah.
me it's the Fear Street trilogy because I voluntarily eliminated Late Night with the Devil because I know there's no way in fucking hell you're going to put that on the top 5 list. I'm conceding that. And X, while I do think it is a brilliant film and I do love it, it doesn't feel as original or as revolutionary as some of these other films we're putting on our list. So I voluntarily removed that from the list. So for you, it's When Evil Lurks. For me, it's the Fear Street trilogy. So I don't know if we need to really make arguments, but those are the last 2. But again, we still have 2 spots left. We made compelling arguments for Fresh and for The Substance and Speak No Evil. Where do we fall in those 2 movies with Fear Street and with When Evil Lurks? I'll say this about When Evil Lurks. I think When Evil Lurks is a brilliant film, and it's fucking wild. It's a disturbing ass film. And this may sound like a weird reason not to include it in 5. Honorable mention,
Okay.
100% agree. The only reason I don't put it in my top 5 is it kind of in a weird way falls into Martyrs category where I love it, but I don't necessarily want to revisit it very often. Not meaning it's a good. I've always said Martyrs is incredible. Everyone needs to see it once, but once is
Yeah.
kind of about
Once
all I
might
can
be
handle
enough.
with it. When Evil Lurks is teetering on that. Like I've seen it twice. I bought it in
I've seen
Blu-ray
it.
when I went to horror, and I've seen it twice. Man, it's a hard watch. It is disturbing as hell, and it is a really hard watch. Not in a bad way though. It's a great movie. I just when I think about this, I like Sinners. I think I've seen that movie like 5 times now, and it just
I
came
have.
out. It just came out in May or whatever. I've seen it 5 times in like 5 months. I don't sit around like I do now. I will say this to Speak No Evil. I have watched that movie like 3 times because I make people watch it to see the ending, even though that ending is wildly fucked up.
I've upset
Um,
quite a few people recommending that movie.
Yeah, but like When Evil Lurks is so vile, and I mean that in the best way possible, that like, man, I just don't know if I can revisit it as much. And you know, like I said, that we're nitpicking. The nitpick of
We
that
are.
would be much like Martyrs. Is like, man, I just like when I'm sitting around on a Friday night and I'm like, man, I really want to watch a movie. Let me watch When Evil. Like, I have to be in a very
Yeah.
specific mood to watch that movie.
You really do. It's almost like you need to watch it on like a Tuesday afternoon. Like it's all business.
Yeah.
It's a hardcore movie, and I think if we ever had fun and made an extremity list, like of the great extremity films, Winnie the Lurks would be right up on the heels of Martyrs as one of the great extremity films of all time.
100%. 100%.
It's incredible. It's just a great story
And
too. On
I'll
top of
say this.
that,
Here's an art. I know people are going to freak out when I say this. I think it's better than Martyrs. I think it's a better film than Martyrs. I like Martyrs very much. Martyrs is a great movie, but I think story wise and like plot wise, I think When Evil Lurks is actually a better movie.
you might be right. I mean, if there was an extremity list, Damon, When Evil Lurks is on it. I will concede that's an honorable mention. It's an extreme movie, but I think it's very good. It's what you Damon, you said it great. You need to watch it at least once. You may put it down after that. A bunch of people were asking me on this job that I was just on. They were like, "What are your top horror movies?" And I go, listen, I'm going to say When Evil Lurks. You're not going to watch it. Do not watch it. I knew these are like, corporate people. I go, don't watch that movie. I'm just letting you know that it's my personal list, but it's not for you. Like you just have to know that because it goes hard. It goes fucking hard. And there are things in there that you can't unsee, which that's how I feel about Speak No Evil. But a lot of people can watch Speak No Evil. Holy shit. Do they get lured in because you can watch Speak No Evil for about 90 minutes and that last 10 or so, you're like, what the fuck just happened? Now I'm not going to sleep for 3 years.
Yeah. Speak No Evil, the ending of Speak No Evil is so fucked up when it's over, you almost forget the first 90 minutes because you're like, oh, wow,
I was
how do we
so
get here?
fucked up. My stomach was sick at the end of Speak No Evil. I was genuinely upset.
Yeah, that's like the movie. You're like, hold on, did I just watch a movie? Because I just remember this last 10 minutes. I don't remember anything else. It causes like weird amnesia in you. So it's basically down to Fear Street trilogy, which I think my argument for Fear Street trilogy isn't that it's like this revolutionary film or it's this a totally original film. It's just a reinvention of a genre we love. It's
Yeah.
of all the slashers that have come and gone in the last, like, let's say 10 years, even like the Scream sequels and all the others they've tried to reinvent. We just had this discussion. Maybe slashers just aren't what they once were, and they're not of the same level as some of the horror films that are coming out today. They can still be fun and we can still enjoy them, but you're not going to put them alongside Sinners or, movies like that. And I
Right.
think it's hard to argue against that. But I will say Fear Street gets a little extra nod in my book, even if it just ends up in an honorable mention. The reason it gets a little extra nod in my book is the originality of three movies in a row, three movies that take place over three different time periods, the same actors. It's brutal. There are some fucking brutal
Great
kills in this
kills.
movie. The script is good. The soundtrack's awesome, which I know that's a weird compliment, but the soundtrack is awesome. And the reason why I at least nominate Fear Street is because for three movies, and I know it's a trilogy, I'm cheating by putting three movies in there, but I find it almost impossible to believe somebody couldn't watch those three and find at least one of those that they don't love. Like, I love Fear Street 1994 and 1978. Now, I think the third one's great too. I like the conclusion. It's a pretty cool ending. But like those first two movies are incredible. One's a camp slasher, the other is like a modern day, like 90s set slasher. I love both. I think they're incredible films. But I challenge you, if you even remotely like slasher movies, you will not find one of those that you don't love. So even if it doesn't end up on the list, and I'm fine with, I understand it is still ultimately just a slasher. It was a reinvention of the slasher, and it kind of gave me hope that like there are still good slashers that can be made.
It's a really good trilogy. I think the only reason why I would throw it to the honorable mentions and not in the top five officially, this is the only reason, is that you need the three movies to make it a complete experience.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just at the end of the day, could I just nominate 1976? Not without 94. And could I nominate 1666? Not without 76. Not without 94. That to me, it's like if you really need three movies to tell the story, again, it's told great. To me, it was event television. I truly enjoyed it, and I looked forward to each of the releases. They still needed each other to be a complete story. So to me, everything in the top five was able to tell its own story the way it sat. That's my only argument against putting Fear Street in the top five.
And I get it because it is a trilogy, and you do need all three parts to tell the story. That's why, like, when people talk about their favorite Star Wars films, I'm like, well, I love the original trilogy. Even though I think Return of the Jedi is the weakest of those films, you can't not have it. Like, you've got to have Return of the Jedi
Yeah.
in there to get a complete story. Yes, I know the first one you can kind of watch and have a bit of a complete story, but like, you need all three to tell the full Star Wars trilogy. So, like, yeah, I can say Empire Strikes Back is my favorite, but the ending of that rolls right into Return of the Jedi. So, like, you can't not have one of those films in that trilogy. So, I think there's that argument with Fear Street. And I agree. Like, it is cheating because it's three films, and you can't tell a complete story with that series without all three films.
Damon, so you're okay with Fear Street going to the honorable mentions? I'm okay with it if you are.
Yeah, I'm okay with it going to the honorable mentions. I think it's a tremendous film or a tremendous
It's
series
great.
of films, but it is three, and you're right. You can't watch. I mean, you could, but like, to tell the whole story, you need all three films.
You really do. And by the way, that's still top 15 of the last 5 years. That's none of this is an admonishment of any of these films. Like we like them all. So
So
here's go ahead, Damon.
no, as I said, so we have three we've agreed on. We got Dark and the Wicked, Talk to Me, and Sinners. We got two spots left, and the films vying for those two spots are Fresh, The Wolf of Snow Hollow, The Substance, and Speak No Evil. Is that our four?
That's it.
All right. So what are we gonna do here? We got four movies. We got to whittle it down to two. I've nitpicked a couple of those. You've nitpicked a couple of those. What is our consensus though? We got to come down to two more.
I love The Wolf of Snow Hollow, but perhaps Damon, you and I are just a bit biased because we know how great it is. We just want more people to see it. I stand by it's my favorite werewolf movie of all time. Is it the best werewolf movie of all time? Probably American Werewolf in London, probably Dog Soldiers. Like, to be honest with you, it's just, I fucking love it on a very personal level. I think on a personal level, it resonates with you and me very much. But maybe we need to send it to greener pastures because, truth be told, like, if it was as great as we said it was, maybe way more people would be fucking talking about it. Maybe it just hits you and I on a different level. Is that fair to say?
I think so. I think so. I think that's fair to say. I mean, like I said, I want to make a compelling argument for that. A, because yes, more people need to see it, but also because it is different. It's a horror comedy, and we don't generally, like, if you look at our top five lists over the last 5 years, neither one of us really include a lot of horror comedies. And we do review horror comedies. It's not that we don't like them,
Yeah.
but we haven't found good ones we like. They just, like, when you think of it's just like anything else. Like, when I think about my favorite five films of any year, I rarely put a comedy on there. Not to say they're not good and they can't be original and fun. I'm like, oh man, like comparing The Hangover to One Battle After Another is a hard thing to do. Like, it's just a different kind of filmmaking. So yeah, like, I get it, and I just wanted to mention it because, like, it is a brilliant film, and also I'm making up for lost time because I didn't put it in my top five that year, and I live to regret that to this day.
It's understandable, Dan. You don't want to be the one who said, "No, I meant that movie." They're like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. We know Damon Martin loves The Wolf of Snow Hollow just as me. Go back and listen to that episode from way back when. The audio quality wasn't great, but the love and the passion that Rewind of the Living Dead would eventually show the world, it sparked right then and there when we just found this movie from an indie filmmaker that wasn't being talked about, and we just poured over it about how much we love it. To me, it's still one of my favorite movies, easily top 10 of the last 5 years, no question. We love The Wolf of Snow Hollow, but that's down in the honorable mentions, Damon. And I really think what's coming down to the wire here, I do believe Speak No Evil's in this top five. I do believe it is. I think the problem is it's fresh or the substance. So why don't I just do this? Why don't I just move Speak No Evil in? And now we have to battle and say, is it going to be fresh or is it going to be the substance?
So
What say you, Damon
you're,
Martin?
you're making it harder than it needs to be because I was going to say I'm willing to concede the substance for fresh, meaning I want fresh. Like, fresh is the one that's the hill I will die on because I don't think enough people saw it, but that's not really just my only argument. I just think when you think of the acting, the directing, and it is funny, it's original, it's everything that people wanted Barbarian to be, but better, or even Weapons to a certain
True.
extent. I would say it's a better.
Sure.
Like, if you're like, oh yeah, I like these twisty, turny movies. I like the M. Night Shyamalan. Well, Fresh will knock you on your ass far better and far faster than those movies ever could. And I've made my argument slightly against the Substance, and it's not because I don't like the Substance. I think the Substance is great. I think it's an amazing film. It's one of the best films, and like I said, I appreciate that the Academy even recognized that. Although, the Academy is not, flawless in their recommendations.
They're not. They're not. And that's no indicator of a great movie, for sure. I mean, we have The Dark and the Wicked on here, and nobody nominated it for anything ever.
If you're giving me those three, and you're saying we got to whittle it down between those three, I love Speak No Evil. But like I said, Speak No Evil to me, as good as it is and as great as it is, and you're right, I'm saying all time the ending. But that ending is really what that stands out more than anything else about that movie, right? Like, not saying the rest of the movie is bad. It's like you said, it's
Right.
basically a drama. It's really a drama up until the last, like the ending in this movie. It's not horrific in that way. That's why I kind of pull it out a little bit, because when you talk about straight up horror, straight up holy fuck, like these are fucked up horror movies, The Substance qualifies, Fresh qualifies. Speak No Evil doesn't qualify till the end. It's
true.
Disturbing, and it's uneasy, but it's not horrific. So
until the end, and then it's the most horrific thing you've ever seen.
It is, but like I said, that's what separates it, is the ending. It's not the other. So if you're saying what's a complete movie, top to bottom, almost flawless, I have my biggest argument against The Substance is the ending went a little too far, but I still love that movie.
Yeah, great
Substance
horror
to
ending,
me,
by the way.
And Substance to me is like just great all the way throughout. And I understand. I'm standing for that movie probably harder than most people do. I just think it's a brilliant film, and it's like it deserves more praise than it gets. But it's a true horror film, and it's horrific. Like, once the actual twist happens, it's horrific the rest of the way. It's fucked up the rest of the way. And I think what I argue with Fresh is, like, even though it's like it's Sebastian Stan Danger, when you think about the subject matter, which I haven't spoiled, I'm not going to, it's fucked up. It's incredibly fucked up. So if you're making me take those three and eliminate one, I'm gonna put Speak No Evil back down to like number 6, because it's not a true horror movie until the end. The end is incredibly horror. But the rest of the movie is just uneasy tension and not like dreadful. There's no, like, that dread isn't there. It's just uneasy tension. It's just like uncomfortable tension. That's not horrific.
It's boiling towards something, but yeah, there isn't horror. There isn't horror until the end, and then the end is just so horrific.
But watching, Margaret Qualley get birthed out of Demi Moore, and when you realize what the twist is in Fresh of like where they're going, you're like, oh Jesus, like, it is incredibly fucked up for what is ultimately a Hulu original horror movie. Like, I'm still like pissed off it didn't get a theatrical run. So if you're making me whittle it down, you're saying you gotta pick between these movies, I'll concede Fresh in The Substance and put Speak No Evil back down to the honorable mentions.
Interesting. And again, I don't dislike Fresh. So this is not a Late Night with the Devil situation where I'm trying to battle against a movie I just have problems with. I love Fresh. I think it's a great movie. When we talk about Sinners, we're saying we've watched it 5 times this year. We think it's insane. It's very likely in the top 25 horror films of the last 25 years. It's incredible. I don't think anybody's arguing against Sinners. Talk to me. One of the most original, again, this is hyperbolic levels of like, wow, this is probably the most original possession movie since The Exorcist. No small potatoes. The Dark and the Wicked, we're saying probably the scariest movie we've watched since this podcast has been around. It's probably the one that scared us the most. 100%. I feel like we have no arguments against that. The Substance, probably Demi Moore's best performance of her entire career. So again, another hyperbolic, like bing, like big, loud, big bang. Speak No Evil, one of the most devastating endings of all time. I quote the great Damon Martin there. These are all timers. And as much as I love Fresh, and as much as people need to see it, and if you get anything out of this podcast tonight, you go, oh, I guess I better fucking go watch Fresh. Yes, you better fucking go watch Fresh. It's fantastic, and it's on Hulu, and I know you have Hulu, so go watch it. It's fantastic. That's what I'm saying. but all the other ones have some sort of hyperbolic, just just like literal like chalice that you slam down on the table and go, this might be one of the best things you've ever seen, and here's why. Fresh is a fantastic movie, but does it have that hyperbolic nature to it where it's undeniable on that huge level like the rest of these movies are?
I argue yes, and I think the biggest deterrent working against Fresh is that just not enough people saw it. It was a Hulu
Yeah.
original.
I
We
mean, but you can
praised it.
argue that,
It
but
was
you can argue that about Dark and the Wicked and Speak No Evil.
I Dark and the Wicked, yes, you could argue that. I don't think you can with Speak No Evil because of the remake. The remake came out and brought attention
Let's
to the
pretend like it
original.
doesn't exist.
I know, but I'm saying like that coming out like got attention and people were like, "Oh,
It
this is
did.
based on an." And every interview they'd say like, "We saw the original film. We saw the original film." So it got buzz based on them remaking the American version of it that they shouldn't have made, but hey, why not? Um, and I don't disagree about the ending of Speak No Evil. I think it's a tremendous ending. But like I said, my argument against Speak No Evil is the fact that it's still not a horror movie until the ending is an all time ending, but I'm looking for complete films. And to me, that's where and like I said, that was the argument I made against the substance. Like this is me personally. I'm not saying it's not an
Sure, sure.
Academy Award nominated
No, we
film.
know we like all these movies.
Yeah. But if I'm gonna nitpick, if I'm gonna say like there's one flaw, if there's a flaw in Speak No Evil, it's that the rest of the movie isn't horrific. The ending is horrific. If I'm gonna make an argument against the substance, it's that the whole movie's great. The ending lost me. I just didn't love that ending, and
I love that ending. I
that's
think it's the
the one
strength of the
thing.
movie.
And to me, it's the one thing. Like I don't like. That's the one thing that's like when I revisit that movie, I'm just like, it's great up until that moment. I don't love that ending. And it doesn't ruin the movie. I still love the movie, but it just doesn't like it doesn't. When the movie starts, the movie ends. I'm just not like, oh, everything flawless. Everything was just flawless about that
Yeah.
movie. And speaking of like, I would argue harder for Fresh and Speak No Evil than I would The Substance because as much and to the substance's point, like it is a brilliant movie. It is a brilliantly written movie. Corley Fairjoe does a great job directing it and writing it, and Demi Moore's great. Margaret Qualley's great. It's all there. But I feel like weirdly, it's still. I feel like The Substance was still a more divisive film. Like there's a lot of people who didn't like The Substance. It was there. I've
Really?
heard people who, yeah, they just thought it was weird.
I mean, I know they hate everybody seems to hate the ending, and I go,
Yeah,
the ending is the reason it's a brilliant
but
film. Like
but
it's
but
cool, and then the ending makes it great.
and that see like that's the thing. Here's where I make my argument against The Substance. It's not because I don't. If we're talking about movies like everyone's like, oh, I get it. You're right. Like that was a brilliant movie. You will get a lot of people who say the ending of The Substance didn't work for them, and you have to kind of argue with them and say, but this is why it's good.
Yeah.
I don't need to make that argument for Fresh. It's just an original movie, and it's fucking great all the way through. And there's not a flaw in that movie that I can pick out. It's fucked up, and it's got great acting, great direction, great writing. The whole thing is just is insanely brilliant. And like I said, that's the hill I'm going to die on. I'm going to die on the hill for Fresh to be one of the five best films. If you're gonna make me concede anything else, that's the one thing I'm going to fight on until the day I die. If I'm arguing against Speak No Evil, it's the rest of the movie's good. The ending is great. When it's arguing substance, the whole movie's great. The ending is not. So that's just my little puzzle piece there. So I'm gonna die on Fresh. I'm not gonna let that one go, but I'll concede one or the other. Speak No Evil or The Substance. I can live with one of those going in. I can't go with both because both have what I consider to be one slight flaw that prevents them from me naming them
Sure.
one of the five great. But I'll concede one of those for the sake of making an even list where we both get a little bit of a hand in this.
Fair enough, Damon. And for our 5th year anniversary, I will give you the gift of going, fine. We will take Speak No Evil out because The Substance has to be on this list. It is a bona fide horror movie. That's the difference between Speak No Evil and The Substance, is that I can
And I
call
think
it a horror movie all the way through.
and I think you would agree Fresh is a horror movie as well. It's 100%
Yeah, no,
horror.
Fresh is 100% a horror movie, but like the arguments of like, well, Speak No Evil isn't a horror movie until the end. You could kind of say that about Sinners, honestly, if you wanted to argue. But the problem is Sinners is such a great movie. I'm making almost the same argument for Speak No Evil and Sinners. I'm saying they're both tremendously great movies that happen to be horror movies. The Substance is a horror movie, beginning to end. It's kooky, it's wacky, and it does it in its own weird way. The originality alone, to me, makes it like we haven't even ranked these yet. We're just trying to get the top five. We're about to rank them right now. But because it's our anniversary, Damon, my gift to you is that I will concede Speak No Evil. I will take it off the list because The Substance has to be on this list. It is a damn horror movie. It is like, of all of these, The Dark and the Wicked, The Substance, and Talk to Me are the horror movies. The other two, or when I'm sorry, Fresh is as well. Fresh is just different. I don't want to get into Fresh if you haven't seen it. You just need to go see it. They're like tried and true horror movies. And what I love about this five now we have The Substance, we have Fresh, we have Dark and the Wicked, we have Talk to Me, and we have Sinners. We cannot argue, no one can argue that these aren't horror movies. Some people try with Sinners. I'm like, it's a fucking vampire movie. Like, get the fuck over it. It's a fucking horror movie. It's about vampires. But here we are, Damon. We got five horror films. Which one of these is number five? Now, I gave you a gift, Damon. Am I getting a gift on this anniversary? What's our number five horror film?
So, okay, yes, I died on the hill. I needed Fresh to be in this list. I'm not going to put it at five though, because how much I love this movie, I can't put it at five. Maybe four. I can't. So if you're going to force me to put number five, I'm going to probably go Talk to Me. Not because it's not great. It is great. It is original. It is influential. It is great. I love it. And I have re-seen it. Like I've seen it like 10 times.
Oh,
I've seen
yeah,
it talk to me
it's
about
fucking great.
But and I'm also going to take outside voices and just like the general consensus of like greatness, right? Like yes, there's going to be the contrarians. Oh, Sinners isn't as good as this. I understand.
Oh yeah, I hear those all the time.
But I definitely heard some like it wasn't scary. It wasn't it wasn't as great. So Talk to Me for me is five, and I love that movie. But if you're making me say like top five of the last 5 years, I would probably put, even though it was our number one film of that year, in this list, I would probably put it right at five. Not because it's not great, it's amazing, but I think the original, and like I said, I'll just go ahead and say it. I'll put Fresh at number four because it's the one you kind of conceded to. The reason why I battle for Fresh a little harder is because it is totally original. You've not really seen a movie, and I know it's a weird comparison, but I'm gonna die on this hill and say it's everything that Barbarians and Weapons wanted to be, except done better. And I know that's a very high mark to set because a lot of people love Barbarians and love Weapons. I think Fresh is a movie that does it better than those movies. That's why I put it at number four for me. So you argue, but that would be my five and four list.
I think Talk to Me is far too original to be at number five. I just can't, for something that new and different and really paradigm shifting. I can't accept it under Fresh. Not because, again, Fresh isn't bad. Now it's in the top five. It's not even a bad movie. I'm just saying that, like, I've seen things like Fresh, and some would argue that they like those things better. I wouldn't argue. I definitely like Fresh better than Weapons and better than Barbarian for sure. But it's not exactly something where I'm like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. I don't have that feeling with Fresh. I enjoy it top to bottom, tops to tails. But it's not a movie that I'm like, wow, I cannot believe they did that. It's not that movie for me. My opinion is Fresh goes at five. That's not a knock on Fresh at all. It's like, hey, Fresh, welcome to the top five. Holy shit. Like, you did it. It's like the guy who gets third place at the Olympics. Like, he's celebrating way more than the guy who got second place. Because the guy who got second place lost out to the winner. The guy in third is like, holy fuck, I fucking got bronze. Like, that to me is Fresh. Fresh is a great movie. And if people learn anything from this podcast, it's that they need to go watch it. But to me, it's a number five.
And see, it's funny, for my number five would be The Substance all day, because I just didn't put that in it wasn't as high up on me.
But who's more original?
I mean, I think they're both highly original. That's why I said, like, if we're just talking totally original, like, I think it depends on how you're gonna score it and grade it. Like,
okay, I would grade it on directing, the directing in The Substance is tremendous. The acting, both of them, great acting. You as you mentioned, Daisy Edgar Jones and Sebastian Stan, they did great. It's the best thing I ever saw Margaret Qualley in, and she's been in some damn fucking good movies. And it's the most amazing performance I've ever seen out of Demi Moore in her life. She gave everything to that performance. Production design, incredible. They won for best makeup effects. The makeup effects are insane. I'm talking about now we're getting into the craft of the movie. It's like how you built this thing, how you created this thing, what it looks like. And it's not the biggest movie in the world. It takes place in like 2 or 3 locations, yet there's so much texture to the movie. I just think the craftsmanship of the movie on top, 2 great movies. So what beats them? To me, it's the craftsmanship of the substance. That's what it is.
And that's what, like I said, if you're making me like, I'll just lay out a top 5, and you can give me we'll argue and get it down to the top 5. But like, I think the way I'm feeling and the way we're talking, it sounds like, as crazy as it might be, Sinners is probably going to be number 1. It's hard just because it's such a complete film. It's well acted, well written, well directed. It's got all the pieces of the puzzle.
Got everything.
Everything. And then I think Dark and the Wicked ends up in either at worst number 2 or number 3 because it's the scariest film on this list. And we are a fucking horror movie podcast. What is the scariest movie we've seen in the last 5 years? It's The Dark and the Wicked. I agree on that. Then you're getting down to those final 3. And I think, and that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. You can tell me I'm wrong. But like that's where, and like I said, I know people listen to this podcast are going to be like, dude, let it go. Fresh is not that great. I get it. But the reason.
No, but it is great.
But
it is great.
The reason I'm arguing for Fresh so vehemently is that if you like it's original.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's original. It's got a great twist, which I know people love twists in movies. It's got a great twist. It's got great direction, great writing, great soundtrack too, by the way. I love the soundtrack of that movie. Here's where I put that movie, and Substance is also in this, but the reason, and I know this is nitpicking, the reason why I put Fresh ahead of Talk to Me, and I'll concede Substance as well. Not a knock. I love Sophie Wilde, by the way. She's great. She's become a really, really good actor. But overall, the acting in Talk to Me isn't as strong as Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, and Sebastian Stan and Daisy Edgar Jones. If we're nitpicking performances, which does matter, I would put Fresh and The Substance ahead of Talk to Me based on that small little thing, because some of the performances in Talk to Me are great. They are. They're really solid. But I can't compare that to Demi Moore, and I can't compare that to Sebastian. We're talking about 2 Academy and nominated.
Yeah, these are great.
I know Sebastian Stan didn't get nominated for Fresh, but like no one's going to say he's not a great actor and Daisy Edgar Jones is not a great actor. No one's going to say Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. I understand that you're like, man, you're nailing Talk to Me because they didn't have A-list actors. I get it, and we applaud people all the time.
To me, that gives it more points. It gives it more points because these are unknowns.
It is. But like,
and they're going up against Oscar-nominated people, and they still held their own.
But we're trying to figure out the little.
You just talked me out of that. Now I'm way into Talk to Me.
And the other thing I'll say about I've made a lot of arguments for Fresh. The last argument I'll make about Fresh is I'm still stunned is when you look at the people who are in that movie, Sebastian Stan, Daisy Edgar Jones, there's other people in the movie as well, but like those are the 2 main stars. I'm still marveling that they read that script and they're like, oh yeah, I want to make this movie, because it is incredibly fucked up. The actual plot, which I'm not going to ruin, the actual center of this movie is really messed up. And like the fact that their agents are like, hey, check out this movie. And the fact that Sebastian Stan is like, yeah, people still come up to me to this day. Like, I loved you in Fresh. I'm like, wow, that's kind of fun. You're kind of fucked up. That, like, I will die on that hill. So we're nitpicking down to the top 5, but I'll concede the Substance based on performances more than how much I actually love it. Like, for me, it would be number 5 on this list. I know it's not number 5 for you. Fresh would be number 5 for you. For me on this list, it would be probably number 1. Of the last 5 years, Fresh and Sinners are probably my 2 favorites. So we got to find a middle ground here.
Okay, I see what's going on here. We have to pull ourselves out of it because right now you are just so married to Fresh. So I'm going to offer you up this. All these movies, I'm going to just go down the line. I'm going to have you think. Sinners, just in your head, think of some memorable moments. Just pick 3 right now.
Oh yeah.
I can think of 3 right now. Talk to Me, pick 3 moments. I can think of the intro, holy fucking shit. I can think of the first time that they do hands. I can think of the Riley in the bathroom. Like there's some fucking there's way more than a few very memorable moments. Dark and the Wicked, fuck, we quote that shit on here on the regular. We already know there's memorable moments. The Substance, at least culturally speaking, has a couple memorable moments, including the ending, which you don't like, but it's memorable. Now let's just be real for a second here, Damon. What's the memorable moment from Fresh? Don't say it out loud, but just tell me, compared to the other four movies, does Fresh have that one moment where you're like, holy shit?
Yes, 100%. Better than the substance.
Better than the substance. I can't agree. Damon, I will concede something, but I don't think Fresh holds next to those other ones with regards to memorable moments. Fresh being at number 5 is not a denomination of the movie.
But let me ask you this: as the list we're making here, and I'm not. This is not a knock on you. I'm just being honest. How many times have you rewatched Fresh?
3 times. I've seen Fresh 3 times. I've showed it to people and I've told people about this movie because I am, again, it sounds like I'm arguing like I don't like the movie. I've told people they need to see it because I agree. People don't see this movie enough. But when I look at the other movies on here, and truth be told, and here's something we're both lying to everybody about. The Dark and the Wicked is the thing we are married to, you and me. Like we both agree on that. We're both holding hands on that one. But we could even argue like maybe Dark and the Wicked needs to go under Fresh. I wouldn't, because I still say it's the scariest movie on the list, bar none. The rest don't even hold a candle to it. In my opinion, it probably sits at number 2 simply for that moment, simply for the fact that these two guys who have claimed for the last 5 years they don't get scared by anything, they both agree Dark and the Wicked scares the shit out of them.
Well, then here's the thing. We're agreeing on number 1 and number 2, which is weird that we totally agree on 1 and 2. It's 3, 4, and 5 that we're arguing about because we're both like Sinners and Dark and the Wicked are 1 and 2, and it's just really about nitpicking down. Like I said, whatever the list ends up being is fine. I'm not really going to complain a whole lot about it. Like I said, for me personally, this it's not even that I don't like the film. It's just if you're making me whittle it down to a 5 list, my one film on this list that I'm not insanely in love with is The Substance. I think it's a brilliant movie. I do. And I think and yes, I concede it was nominated and it got a ton of award nominations and it deservedly so. But I really do butt heads with that ending. It really does not work for me. And I know you love it.
But it's memorable. And it's honestly the common denominator of everybody that talks about the movie. Everybody talks about the movie's ending. And to me, and we've said this on the podcast before, Damon, you're better off having a movie that people love and hate than people feel nothing about. People feel strongly about the ending of The Substance. Either way. And to me, that is a piece of art that has burrowed its way into the zeitgeist and makes people think deeply. I like Fresh. Not enough people have seen it, but people, even after they see it and go, oh, that was great, they're not going to have deep conversations about how it made them feel. They're just not.
And I don't, and here's the thing, and I'm not trying to belabor the point on this. Like, I don't need films to make me feel that way, though. Like, I don't need that. Like,
it's not a requirement.
I appreciate the artistry of The Substance. I appreciate the deeper meaning of The Substance. I do, but I don't necessarily need that.
That's not a requirement at all. That's not a requirement of films. In fact, I would argue that Talk to Me on this list is the one that makes you feel the least. It's actually a rather nihilistic movie. So it's not about that. But we're really down to the last 2 here. Honestly, I think we have Sinners at 1, Dark and the Wicked at number 2, Talk to Me at 3, and now it's between The Fresh and The Substance. And it's not a matter of like, I think Fresh sucks, I think The Substance is better. I think we got 2 great movies, and now you just have to come down to the fact of like, what have these things achieved? Right. And just as pieces of art, they're both pieces of art. They're both great pieces of art. But I think if I show those 2 pieces of art to people, more people are going to have things to say, good or bad, about The Substance than they are about Fresh. Some people, by the way, are just going to be turned off by Fresh because of the subject matter. Some people are just gonna be like, I don't like that. I think it's gross. And to those people, I say, think deeper, look deeper. There's a lot going on there. I think it's a very interesting movie. But I do think the substance transcends horror the way Fresh does not. Fresh is a great horror movie. The substance transcends it and becomes something else. That's literally the difference. That's all I can see at this point. We got two good movies. They're interesting, but I do think the substance is just that much better, Damon, and that's really all we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, and obviously, like we're arguing against ourselves here because you're going to argue for the substance, I'm going to argue for Fresh, and it's weird. I try to concede there to put Talk to Me number five because I was like, that's the one argument I can like I can go Talk to Me five, Fresh four, Substance three. Even though for me, Substance wouldn't be in my top five, but I concede like it is a
And then Fresh wouldn't be in my top five, but I concede that.
Yeah, and so we're conceding those. That's why I'm like, okay, then we're like, and I'm not arguing against Talk to Me. I think Talk to Me is a very brilliant film, but like I said, when I think about the movies that like just have that impact, and I think Fresh gets dinged because it just wasn't seen enough. Like I think if Fresh had a wider audience, I think if Fresh had Barbarian's audience, people would be banging the drum and saying Fresh should be like considered like that. That's how
I'd
like,
rather not do what ifs though. Like
no,
we have the evidence. We have the evidence.
But I think like it's and I think Fresh honestly falls in the same category as The Dark and the Wicked. Just not enough people saw it. Like Dark and the Wicked stands out because it's really scary. Fresh stands out because it has a really really fucked up twist and it's really fucked up subject matter and it's dark. It's really fucking dark. And like I said, let me just judge down to performances. Let me whittle it down to little things right here. And the substance ending is what kind of ruined that one for me. I don't hate it. I really like that movie. I think it's a really, really good movie. But when we did our top five list last year, you remember Substance wasn't on mine. You're like, what?
Oh yeah, no, I was.
It's in my top 10. It's in my top 10. And like I said, I had to whittle it down, and that ending still bugs me to this day. And I understand it's a cultural zeitgeist. It's a conversation piece, but also because it was nominated for a fucking Oscar. More people saw it. I get it. And like you said, more people are going to see Fresh and be like, I don't like it because the subject matter is really disturbing. It is. It's fucked up. So like I said, we're really arguing about the final three. That's why I said I'll put Talk to Me at 5, Fresh 4. I'll give you the substance at 3, even though it wouldn't be on.
I wouldn't put the substance at 3 on this list. I do think strongly that Talk to Me is the de facto number 3 because it is truly a paradigm shift in horror. I think you and I are talking about our favorite movies in the Fresh and the Substance, but what we're not talking about with Talk to Me, what we're not being as honest as we can, is that literally Talk to Me is a changing of the guard, and it's a good one. It's not just any old changing of the guard. It's Nightmare on Elm Street. When Nightmare on Elm Street put the gavel down in 1984, it changed the game. It said, all bets are off. You got to do better now. Ever since Talk to Me, everything had to level up. It just did. And that's why, to me, Talk to Me is above both of those things. The Talk to Me wasn't even on my all-time list that year. It wasn't. It was just on my horror list. But its importance to the horror genre is that much higher. It just is.
It's funny you say that because I agree, but I feel like the bigger, like, it almost feels like Talk to Me kind of faded in a way. Like, people don't talk about as much as they should now. Like, it was really talked about that year.
Oh, it comes up divisive. A lot. I mean, at least for me, it comes up a lot.
But it just, it comes up a lot because I'm always like, you need to watch Talk to Me. But I feel like that one, it felt like that one kind of died down a little bit more. And I'm arguing against myself here because nobody talked about Fresh because nobody saw it.
That's your words, not mine.
And that's Dark and the Wicked too, though. Like same thing.
Yeah, nobody saw Dark and the Wicked. It was you and me.
I talked to horror fans and like, oh, what movie should I watch that's scary? I'm like Dark and the Wicked. Like, what's that? They don't even know what it is. Like that's so it's like Dark and the Wicked and Fresh are battling against the fact that nobody saw it. Like, yes, we are agreeing the Dark and the Wicked is really scary, but I would even argue for as much as we have loyal listeners, because Dark and the Wicked was an early show too for us. That was like top, was that first 20 episodes?
Oh yeah, Dark and the Wicked's early.
Yeah,
and it's still and to its credit, it's still here. It's still fighting all these years later, and that's a big testament.
It does, but there's gonna be people like I don't even know what that is. Like I haven't even heard of that. And Fresh is gonna battle the same thing. Like I said, the only reason I put Substance lower is A, the ending doesn't work for me, and B, it's got enough attention as it is. Like it was an Academy Award nominated film, and
But you can't knock it for being too many people like it. Like that's what people are going to say about Sinners, and we have it at number one. They're going to too many people just like it. It's a prisoner of the moment movie. No, it's an exceptional movie. This whole list is exceptional movies.
Maybe our concession is we just name our five films and we leave it at that. And we agree on number 1 and number 2 because we definitely agree on 1 and 2.
Damon, Fresh already won. It's in the top 5. It's just not.
That's the substance for me.
No, but the substance is a consensus. Like if we gave this list to a lot of people, they go, oh yeah, that makes sense, and they go, oh, so what's Fresh? Like they'd have to do that. And I'm not. But horror fans wouldn't do that. Horror fans know about Dark and the Wicked. They do. Horror fans do. Oh yes, they do. Oh yeah, for sure. Like there's nothing on this list that horror fans don't know. But I go back to one thing. Okay, I've seen Fresh 3 times, and I've seen all these other movies at least minimum twice. Yes, I think I've seen everything 3+ times on this list, with Fresh being the only one at 3. I've seen Fresh 3 times. I still don't really remember the ending as being terribly memorable. Not good or bad. That's not what I'm saying. Memorable. Talk to Me's ending, very memorable. Dark and the Wicked's ending, very memorable. Sinners, fucking classic. I'm sorry. For all the haters out there, Sinners is that good. Like, just watch it again. It's very good. The first time I saw Sinners, I wasn't even like in love with it. The second time I saw Sinners, I was like, holy fuck. I couldn't believe it. And then I saw it three or four more times. That's the only thing Fresh has going right now where I'm like, that's the only reason it's above the substance is above it. Not because the substance's ending is better, but because the substance's ending is more memorable. That's all I'm saying here, Damon. It already won. It's already in the top 5.
I'm gonna give it to you because I know you're gonna argue vehemently against it, and it's fine. I'll let Substance be number 4, even though to me that ending is what I don't like about that movie. And while
you're not alone, and you're not alone.
And when you say memorable, yeah, it's memorable, but also
I did say memorable.
And I'm not arguing like this, and this goes back to the Dark and the Wicked and Fresh are the 2 films on this list that have been seen by the least amount of people, period. Like it just is.
Yes.
Because neither one of them had theatrical releases. They were both streaming releases, and both of them only got attention through word of mouth. They did not blow up because I think Fresh actually was a little bigger because it had stars. Even the Dark and the Wicked didn't have stars.
Yeah, they had a red carpet, yeah.
Yeah, they had they had Sebastian Stan, an Academy, and then Daisy Edgar Jones and Twisters, and she's like a major A-list star. So Fresh, I would argue, is probably a little bit bigger than Dark and the Wicked, just because it did have the star power, whereas Dark and the Wicked didn't.
I agree.
Dark and the Wicked spiraled because it just became like a really well liked horror film. But I remember Marin Ireland is in that movie, but I know Xavier Berkeley is in that movie, but I can't remember the dude's name in that movie. I know it's great. I can't remember the guy's name in that movie. It's not a knock. I'm not saying he's a bad actor. I'm just saying I don't remember off the top of my head the name, but I can name everybody else in all these other movies. So I'll say because Fresh made the list, and I'll say sure it's number 5. It just to me. The only movie on this list that I can really find a flaw with, for me, this is me, not you.
Sure.
This is me.
Yes.
The only film in this list of 5 that I can find a flaw with is The Substance. It's just the ending. It's not anything else. It's Dark and the Wicked is fucking terrifying. The scariest film in this list. Sinners is a perfect movie. Fuck you if you don't believe me. It's a perfect movie.
It's fucking great.
We're sitting there arguing about number 5, and we haven't heaped enough praise on number 1.
One's easy.
Sinners came out 5 months ago, and it's the number 1 film in the last 5 years. Holy shit! We're considering Dark and the Wicked is the scariest movie. Talk to Me, much like Fresh, is totally original, and The Substance is totally original too. By the way,
very original.
Like I said, this is like picking kids. I'm just like
it's the winner's circle. That's the thing. It truly is the winner's circle.
Your argument for Freshes is not as memorable. My argument for Substance is the ending is not good. That's so 4 and 5 fine. Fresh is 5, Substance is 4, Talk to Me 3, Dark and the Wicked 2, Sinners number 1.
And we're not going to talk about Sinners at all tonight.
Sinners
Sinners is so awesome. Fucking amazing. Sinners so is so good.
Now, by the way, we're doing this podcast in October. It's probably not going to drop till November, and we're going to do our year end. Have we just completely ruined our year end list? Sinners has to be number 1 now.
Earmuffs, everybody. Like, just pretend like you don't know what our number 1 was. It's a good thing that we spent a lot of time on 4 and 5, so people forget what number 1 is.
I do want to say this though about Sinners, because if I'm going to hear one argument, I know we're going to get the argument of, it's not as good as you say it is. I understand. Everyone's got their opinion. The one thing I will say about Sinners is this: it is not prisoner of the moment. I fully admit, I have been prisoner of the moment in some horror films in the past, or like you just feel a certain way. We just did a review for The Black Phone 2, and I come out of the theater, it's like, it was all right. It was decent, you know? By the end of talking about it, I was like, no, I don't like this movie. We had to talk through it. This is not prisoner of the moment. This is not, I saw Sinners 5 months ago, and now I've seen it like 5 times since then, and I just love it. I do. But it's not that. It's not prisoner of the moment. I want to be clear about that, because I know someone's going to be like, oh, how do you know? It just came out 5 months ago. I've seen it 5 times in 5 months, and it just keeps getting better. It's like, I know this is a weird comparison, but it's like when I watch Heat. Every time I watch Heat, something else stands out to me about that movie. I'm like, oh, this and oh, that. And I've seen Heat is like a top 5 movie for me all time. I've seen Heat like 100 times. Yeah. And I know you're not a Tarantino guy. I've seen Pulp Fiction 100 times. Every time I watch those movies, I'm like, oh, that stands out, or oh, this performance stands out. I know Sinners is 5 months old. I've had that experience already with Sinners. That's all I'm saying.
For the haters out there on Sinners, because I know they're out there. Sometimes they're in our comments, by the way. Anytime we bring up Sinners, they go, Sinners sucks. You're stupid. The first time I saw Sinners, I didn't hate it. I was just like, oh, okay. Like I thought it was going to be something else. So now that my expectations were washed away, I went and saw it again. And I was like, oh my God, this is an amazing movie. And in that moment, I was sort of like emotional. Like I just remember being very emotional watching the movie and going, this is kind of amazing, truly. The next time I watched it, I was like clapping and stomping my feet, and the music was getting me going. And then I was like witnessing some of the artistic expression that's so fucking raw in that movie. And I was like, no one's even doing that in movies. No one even tries that in a fucking movie. And they're trying it in Sinners, and they're succeeding at it. And then you watch it again, and then you're watching all the character moves, and you're watching what's his name? Delroy Lindo. You're watching all of Delroy Lindo's moments, and you're going, this man deserves Best Supporting Actor. He's not going to get it. Sean Penn's going to get it. But he deserves the nomination, and he fucking crushes it. Then I watch it again. I go, this is the best Michael B. Jordan performance I've ever seen him do. Like bar none. He gave the world to it. And if that ending doesn't crush you, check your soul. You might not have one. The ending of Sinners is so tremendous. And every time I watch this movie, it swells to a new level of excellence.
And what's funny, if you go back and listen to our Sinners episode, you actually came in and you said you kind of argued against it being a horror movie at first. You're like, it's more of a drama.
I did.
As time passes, though, you found the other moments that make it, like, there are so many horror elements in that movie. Yes, it does start out more of a drama, but like when you rewatch and see the layers in that movie, it is absolutely a horror movie through and through. It's a slow build to the horror.
I really think a lot of people just saw it the one time and they were like, where's the horror? Because that's what happened to me the first time I saw it. I go, where's the horror? I don't see it. It's not really there. And then when it is horrific, it's like, oh, it wasn't enough and it happened too fast. And then you watch it over and over again and you realize it is a level of genius. And we spent the whole night talking about Fresh and the Substance, but Sinners is a perfect movie. Sorry to break your hearts, folks. It's the truth. And that's why it was like we threw it up at number 1 and it never came down. Because we kind of already knew that. We were just like, how do you fill the rest of this list out? Sinners is incredible.
And by the way, you mentioned Delroy Lindo, 100% agree. Let me throw out another one. Jack O'Connell deserves Best Supporting
Jack
Actor
O'Connell,
nomination. He is so good. He is so just, oh, he's such a great villain in this movie. He is so good.
delicious villain.
Yeah. So let me, I'm stealing this. So I've fully admitted the inspiration for this podcast, beyond you and I becoming close friends and loving horror. I said, I've never denied it, that a lot of my inspiration came from the show The Rewatchables, the Ringer podcast that they do categories. That's kind of where our categories idea came from, was the Rewatchables. But they do a category in there we don't do, but I'm going to throw it out here. They say, who gets the Oscar? And what they mean by that is, like, when you watch a movie, you got to give one Oscar. You can't give 10 Oscars. You get one Oscar. I know we're going to have Sinners on our best of list at the end of the year, but we're talking about the best horror films of the last 5 years. Let me run it down for you again. Number 1, Sinners. Number 2, Dark and the Wicked. Number 3, Talk to Me. Number 4, The Substance. Number 5, Fresh. But before we go, Sinners gets one Oscar. Who gets it? And what kind? You can say Best Picture, but you can't say Ryan Coogler gets it for screenplay and directing. He gets one Oscar.
He gets one Oscar.
What's your one Oscar? Is it Michael B. Jordan? Is it Delroy Lindo? Is it Haley Steinfeld? Is it Jack O'Connell? Is it the music? What's your one Oscar?
Damon, it's the man who brought it all together. Best director, Ryan Coogler. You have to bring all of those elements. Yes, he wrote it, of course, we know that, but he had to bring all those elements together to make a movie that is truly stunning. I mean, stunning on every single level. Name whatever you want to name. The acting, stunning. The production design, stunning. The cinematography, stunning. He brought all those people together. He brought his vision to life through all of those things and made what I consider one of the perfect movies. I'm not a prisoner of the moment, folks. I'm not. That moment happened months and months and months ago, and I've examined it with a fine-tooth comb. Ryan Coogler, I think this is his best film by far.
I'm gonna agree. Like, I'm not gonna cheat and say Best Picture, because that to me is a cop out. There's an argument to be made for screenplay, because that is a separate category, and I think this is such a well written film, man. Ryan Coogler is absolutely clay, but it is director, because it's his fingerprints over every aspect of this film. And Ryan Coogler, and we said this when we read the episode, not to rehash that episode, like, when you look at, like, Ryan Coogler doesn't have a miss.
No,
he doesn't have a miss on his record. 2 Black Panther movies, 2 Creed movies, Fruitvale Station, Sinners. That's I'm getting those right. That's the 5, right?
Yes.
All good. All great. All
great.
And obviously he's been nominated for Best Picture a couple times. Or he will be soon with Sinners, I think. It's director. And I'm saying that in a year, and I know I said one Oscar for this movie, but I'm thinking about the Oscars. I know One Battle After Another is going to win a lot, and deservedly so. Yeah. It was I loved that movie. It was a tremendous movie. But if I'm like, man, like, I want my guy Leonardo DiCaprio is my guy, I certainly won't complain if Michael B. Jordan wins, by the way. If those are the two, I will not complain either one. And I know, because I know you were not happy about Mikey Madison, but I thought Mikey Madison really did a good job.
She was good. She wasn't the one, but she was good.
I was fine with Demi Moore winning, but I was also okay with Mikey Madison winning. But this year, I would be like, okay, I think Leo probably is my pick, but I'm 100% okay with Michael B. Jordan getting it.
Yes.
Paul Thomas Anderson deserves a lot of flowers. Ryan Coogler was better. He's the best director this year.
I think Ryan Coogler is the best director of the year. And I love One Battle After Another. Love it. I think it's fantastic. But it's the man that puts it all together. And really, it's him and Paul Thomas Anderson. These guys put together 2 incredible films. Incredible. But I have seen and examined and combed over Sinners many more times. I've only seen One Battle After Another once. I've seen Sinners 5 times. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal movie. If you've only seen it once, see it again. Clear your head, get in the right frame of mind, and let it in. Let the fucking vampire in, and you will not regret it. It's number 1 for a reason, and it was an easy number 1 for a reason.
And if you don't want to let the vampire in, just listen to the creepy preacher saying, "Come outside,
come outside, come outside,
that's from
and
the,
talk to me."
That's from the dark and the wicked. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, one way there. All right, there's our list. Top 5 films the last 5 years reviewing this podcast. Clearly, Patrick and I are very passionate about these movies.
We knew it was going to happen.
That's our list, and I'm fine with that list. And like I said,
it's a great list.
I will battle for Sinners at number 1. The rest I could see at 2, 3, 4, and 5. I really don't think there's an argument. Like Sinners is the one I will put at number 1. The rest, let's just mix and match and see where we land. And I'm fine with that. That's why I said I really don't care at the end of the day, because like we're talking about the 5 best. That's not a loser. There's not a loser in that list. You can check out all those episodes and our past episodes on the podcast feed, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Some of these are on YouTube. We didn't get to YouTube till later. So I know Talk to Me is on there. I know The Substance is on there. I know Sinners is on there. I don't remember if we did, I don't think we did Fresh at that point, and I don't think we did Dark and the Wicked for video for YouTube at that point. But everything is available, Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and of course over on the website, rewindedlivingdead.com. You can find all of our podcasts over there. And obviously follow us on social media. We're going to drop this list, of course, when the episode comes out, so you can argue with us and tell us why we're fucking wrong or why we're so
we'll
right.
hear it.
Hear it on social media, Facebook, Twitter/X, and Instagram. Just search for Rewind the Living Dead, and find us over there. And you can also bitch to us on our own personal social media channels. I am at Damon Martin, and you are?
At Director Patrick.
And if I have one wish before we get out of here, Patrick, this show's going nowhere. We've said before, if we had no listeners, we'd continue to do this because we just love talking about horror films. But we appreciate that you guys have been around for 5 years or 1 year or 2 months or however long you've been here. My greatest wish right now, Patrick, is that we do another one of these 5 years from now, because I do not intend on going anywhere. We are going to do a 10-year fucking anniversary. I promise you that. Thank you for being the best podcast partner in the world, the best motivation I've had to continue to watch films and become a film fan. So thank you for that, and thank you to all of our listeners. We appreciate you.
We love you, Damon. Thank you.
We'll see you soon. New episode coming soon. Thanks for tuning in. See you then.
Peace.